All right. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone that is coming in here. I am your outstanding host, Skye Logan, Director of Philanthroinvestor Investing here at Equity and Help. And beside me, this good-looking gentleman here is Berger Corvaia.
Yeah, he's, I don't know if you remember from a couple of webinars ago, VP of Sales and Marketing here at Equity and Help. Welcome.
Yeah. He's the guy, a whole lot of responsibility. You know, like the Atlas, the guy that holds this globe thing up, right? This is this guy here. He does a fantastic job and oversees a whole lot of things. So if you're coming in as a client with us, already a client, you obviously know and love Berger a whole lot. So I wanted to have him here as a guest speaker today, and because he's just a fantastic guy.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 investment freedoms. What do you get when you have all your ducks in a row with your investments? What does that life look like? You know, because it's a lifestyle design, right?
For sure. We have all kinds of investors from different parts of life, from different stages of life. And we can certainly see a big difference in the ones that are well established and the ones that are starting. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And those guys, I won't name any names. We do have some investors that are solely living off of their investments.
Yes.
From us, their cash flow, right?
Yes, for sure. We have quite a fair bit of those, actually. I'd say about 30% of our investors live off of this investment solely.
Wow, 30%. Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. So what is that? So we'll talk about, actually, we'll talk about it now. So what does that generally look like? Are they obviously happy with it?
Yes, of course. Not only do they live off of this investment, but they also reinvest more. About half of them still reinvest with us, which is very interesting because they're living off of it. So you would think that someone that's retired and just living off of one thing wouldn't put more money into it, but they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very well organized. 100% of them are very well organized financially. So that is also something very interesting to be around and kind of really understand and grasp as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So we're going to have a little fun conversation today. Not so serious, going over tons of numbers and things about the investments things or comparing even investment modalities, but we're just going to look at what does that life look like, that lifestyle design, what are the freedoms that you get. So we're going to be touching on these, each of us. So one, not working for someone else. We survey a lot of people and we know, so these are some key points, these 5 things that we're going to be going over, these different freedoms that they really enjoy. Okay. So one, not working for someone. It's just cash flow. It's just passive. If you're truly an investor and not just a landlord, you've created yourself a job, but it's actually a passive, a turnkey system. 2, being able to afford your lifestyle. Okay, so whatever that is. 1 for 1, anyone, it's mastering money, as Berger mentioned. The people that have the system in place, you said it very directly. They've got it figured out, the exact numbers, what is their bottom line, their expenses, and what do they need on that cash flow, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
that makes a big difference because we also see the ones that barely live off of their investments. So you can tell it's a little bit more stressful, and doing anything, adding anything to their life is really not even a matter of if I can, it's just a matter of maybe. So it's a very different scenario.
Yeah, maybes. Way too many maybes, which you can't have if you're mastering money. It's I always like to use the analogy, just it's managing a dollar, like how in a couple of webinars back I talked about that. Like it's just learn how to manage a dollar or $100 or $1,000 or $10, whatever it is, you're just learning how to manage that. And people that are in control are obviously in control.
Yes.
Right? So we're discussing that. Other freedom, huge perk, time with loved ones. Right. So we're going to kind of talk about that. I'd love to hear, feel free, again, there obviously is always a chat. So feel free to chime in, ask any questions that you'd like to ask, or just make some comments, whether you love that point or not. 4, feeling good about yourself. Okay. Especially in the case of our investment, it's philanthroinvestor investing. You get a huge sense of purpose and helping others. So that's fantastic. Point 5. Being empowered to make your own decisions. Okay, that's not true with all investments, but with ours, you definitely have that. It's not managed. You don't have no idea where the money's going to. If it's supporting DoD, Department of Defense things or whatever, you actually have control of that. So having that empowerment of controlling that is fantastic. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take up the first point.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so not working for someone else.
Oh, of course you want to take that one.
All right, so being your own boss, generating money on your own terms, okay? So more than 2/3 of the respondents, 70% that is, say they're happier being self-employed, and almost the same number, about 67%, say they feel more fulfilled, okay? Being your own boss, generating money, just that cash flow coming in, okay? More than half are earning more money, okay, of that group. So the positive impact on people's stress levels is obviously a little bit more subtle. You won't notice that as much, but 45% of those surveyed say they're under less stress, okay? Why not? You know, not being bossed around all the time, various things. You're making plenty of money, you're paying your expenses. So yeah, so less stress. However, about 27% of those say their stress levels have risen out of this whole group that was surveyed. 27% said their stress levels have risen, and similar number, 26% say their income has dropped since they became self-employed, become their own boss. So why is that?
Well, I see a lot of this. I come from a world where a lot of entrepreneurs came into this saying they were entrepreneurs. I came from the multi-level marketing business. And yeah, it's very nice because now you're your own boss.
Yeah.
And that comes with a set of challenges. So a lot of people, when they think about being their own boss, that just means not being bossed around.
Yeah.
So now they have all the freedom in the world to sit on the couch and do whatever they want.
That's right.
It's a very different mindset. It's a very different state that you need to be in. So if you're not self-driven, if you're not self-motivated to go out and do what you need to do in this self-employment, you pretty much shot yourself in the foot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, yeah, you might be happier for sure. You don't have to have someone yelling at you when you're 9 minutes late or whatever, but at the same time, your bank account might be suffering, right? So there's a certain portion of individuals that fall into this when they're self-employed.
I see it quite a bit. It's self-discipline.
Yes.
That's a key factor. If you give them all of their time, there's a certain group of people that will utilize that intelligently.
Of course.
Income generating actions, blah, blah, they can be a boss. And others, a huge percent, unfortunately, I think it's a huge percentage that just won't, as it says here, 27, 26%. So a quarter of those are just, they wake up in the morning, still in their pajamas. It's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, still in pajamas, really haven't done any work. Right.
Yes, exactly. Right. It's very easy to be non-productive when there's no one telling you have to be productive.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't affect you directly, like there's not going to be a direct consequence, like an immediate consequence. Obviously, you're not generating money and all that happens, but you can come up with many excuses and say, oh, it's fine. Tomorrow I'll do more work. And then tomorrow comes around, the habit kicks in again. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Now it's 2 days that you have done nothing. If you were employed, then you can't do that. You miss a day's work. Okay, if you're not fired, you might have come up with a good excuse, but second day, wow, that's going to be a hard one, right?
It's going to be hard to get by on your boss or whatever. So
yeah.
I think some people just aren't cut out for that.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's also mistaking action with productivity, because I see that a lot too.
Mm.
Yeah, you go and you're self-motivated, you wake up, you go and grind, but now you're probably talking to 20 people and you're just talking to them about sports.
Yeah.
Instead of about your business or whatever you're self-employed at, right?
Yeah.
So that is also something that's very common. So that can be also very stressful because now they think or they feel, because it's not about thinking at that point, it's about feeling really, is that, oh yeah, I'm doing a lot of things. I'm working, I'm grinding, but at the end of the day, was it really productive actions? Not necessarily.
Yeah. Oh, it didn't work.
It didn't work. That's very common, right? Yeah. So I've seen that, but I've also seen people that come from that same industry and they have become self-employed. For example, Uber drivers, very simple example, right?
Yeah.
And they have managed to say, okay, I'm going to have whatever it is. Let's just say $70 every day. I'm going to make $70 every day with Uber, Monday to Monday. And then after I do that, I'll go and work on my business, right? So they're self-employed squared, because now they're self-employed in two things, right? But they leave their job, maybe they were a server, whatever the case is, and now they can actually, have a life because they have a stable generation of income through their Uber in this case, and he works on his business, 4, 6, 7 hours, whatever comes after that. But he makes sure that all of his expenses are covered, and then he goes and does the other thing. So he's way happier for sure than when I met him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he falls under that other category, right? He's in the happier, more fulfilled, more money. So kind of everything worked better for him.
Yeah.
But it's exactly doing the opposite of everything we've talked about before.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. So that's that point number 1. Now point number 2.
Being able to afford your lifestyle. So you want me to talk about this one, Skye?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a big thing for me personally in the last few years, pretty much since we know each other. And it's been really looking into with a lot of support from my wife. Don't get me wrong. This is not a one-person achievement. So we really started looking into our finances, and we did an Excel. It was not nice. It was not fun.
Yeah.
Really not.
It's a confront process.
Yeah. Especially when you see that red number at the bottom,
Yeah.
right? Because now you realize, well, I'm screwed. This is bad, right? And you've put yourself there, whatever the reason, right? We took on a loan for a car for way too much than we should have. We really couldn't afford it, but we needed a car. That was our justification, right? We need a car. So we got into this loan. Wasn't necessary, but okay. Then we got into rental, right? Yeah, we need a roof to live over. We couldn't afford that amount, but we had to have a roof over our heads, right? And things like that. So instead of getting a less nicer place, we could have probably saved, $300 a month or so. And instead of getting a new car, we could have got a used car. And instead of paying, $500 a month, we would have paid less, whatever it was, 300, I don't know, 350, whatever. And all those things add up, right? And then you have that Netflix subscription, that, Spotify, and, little by little, all these little expenses also became a really big bundle of things.
Yeah.
So we really looked into that. And I've noticed that most of the people that have their finances together have done this at some point in their life, right? And it isn't comfortable. It is not nice. It is very stressful the first time you do it. And we fought. We had a big fight.
You have to do it. Just
But
like
you have to
a
do it.
business, run your family like a business. You have to know the numbers.
Exactly. So yeah, we did that. And at that time, my wife was pregnant, which was another factor. And she had a really rough pregnancy. So it was, a whole process. And we started working on that actively after the fight, obviously. After the fight was over, we both said, yeah, it doesn't matter if we fight over or not. That's our reality.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to face it. So with time, we've managed to, cut out all the subscriptions that we really didn't need, right? We started to look at ways that we could get out of certain payments, certain things, and some other things we decided we would make an effort to keep in. Like, for example, the place we live in, we like it, right? So, little by little, all of it started to come together between her income, getting better jobs, et cetera, getting into places where we could generate more money, right? Getting into investments that also generated money for us. So now it's not only us putting forth our time, but also, having some small investments that also produce some money for us. And all of those things together started to put us in a better situation. So where, 2 years later, which sounds very short when you look at it in the big spectrum, but it's 2 years of really doing everything right every single day. And, walking into the gas station to put gas and just putting gas.
Yeah. Not buying, coming out with.
Right. And it gets even harder when you have a 1-year-old, because then your 1-year-old is, doing the baby things, and she's cute. And of course you want to.
She's gorgeous.
She is gorgeous. Yes.
Gorgeous baby girl. Oh my Lord.
So it is really tough, but the bright side is it's a very short period of time, realistically. So now we look back on it, and now we're able to do way more things because we've got our ducks in a row, as you say. Just facing that and really having a plan and attacking it, not giving up. 2 years is really not a long period of time. So it's been a lot of that, and I see that a lot with our investors too.
For sure. It's going to be a common thread throughout this whole webinar is obviously knowing the scene, knowing where you're at, confronting the scene, good or bad. That's control. Control is part of,
for sure.
You have to have the knowledge. You have to have that responsibility has to be in there in order to control anything. And a lot of people don't confront their finances, they just run the card, especially these memberships. You add up to, oh my, once you actually look at the number, oh my gosh, I spend that much a month on blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's quite eye-opening. All right. Point 2, point 3. All right. Obviously, time with loved ones, huge perk on your freedom with investments. Okay. Now, these are really interesting points here. I love this infographic on the left here. So first I'll talk about the right here, pickle jar theory. So what they did here was they created a dot for each day of individual's life. Okay. And they look at the major important items, these big spots here on the right, the big rocks, big important tasks, pebbles, the smaller orange one, tasks with average importance, and sand, all the other little things that fit in between, like, 'cause you have time. So you fit in some little bit of time, whatever that may be. So what's interesting, if you look at this infographic on the right, it's crazy. It looks like the sun, right? So that is 28,835 dots. All that, just not the center, but all of that point out there. Okay, that's about 79 years, okay? The average human lives, okay? 28,000, almost 29,000 days. Now, what's interesting is, so again, it's knowledge, responsibility, like your time management. Because I love doing this. I did this with my son a couple of weeks ago. We looked at how many hours are in a day, how many hours are in a week, and then you kind of expand that out for a month and a year. And his eyes were just bulging out of his head. You go, okay, there's 24 hours in a day type of thing. Okay, how much do you sleep? 8 hours, great. How much do you have left? 16 hours, great. How much do you go bathroom, do all the bathroom stuff, etc. We started breaking it down. At the end of it, he's like, oh my gosh, I literally have 9 hours a day of just wasted. Even after work, you take out sleep, you take out all that stuff. There's 9. What am I doing?
Right, 9 hours every day.
Exactly. What are you doing? So you analyze it. So what's interesting here, so sleeping. So within this 79-year time period, almost 8,500 days is spent sleeping of your life. 8,000 days.
So that's quite a fair bit of time.
Just sleeping, right? If you could use less sleep if you're healthier and you're all the various, that's a big whole other conversation there. But I immediately see that and go, oh my gosh, I'm going to cut out some sleep.
That's tempting, but also coming from the MLM and nutrition industry, I think everyone's different. That's the first thing that's really important to point out. When we're talking about sleep specifically, we're talking not only there's this healthy range, right, that we always hear, 6 to 8 hours, and that's kind of the healthy range. Me personally, if you give me 6 hours of sleep, I'll be fine one day. The second day, the third day, I'm angry.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
Right. You can't talk to me. Right. If you give me 8 hours.
True that.
True fact. Yeah. You've experienced this. Yes. Especially when Emma was recently born. That was really rough. But 8 hours for me is a little bit too much. Like for me, the really nice spot is 7 hours. If I get 7 hours every day, I'm fine.
And it's restful. You're not worrying about.
Oh no, nothing at all. If I sleep less, it's bad. If I sleep more, it just doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm still like tired.
So your body just that's the mark for you.
7, yes.
Yeah.
Now I have friends that they can on 6 hours they'll be the exact same person than if they sleep 7.
Yeah.
So for those people, I would say, yeah, go ahead, sleep 6.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, if you tell my wife she's going to sleep 6 hours,
no,
you're in trouble.
No. 9 hour girl.
Yes.
Your wife and my wife both.
So it just, I would say it depends. But I personally, I can, knock off an hour.
Some of that there.
So I could save I'd say about 500 days of my life just with that hour, I would say.
So some other spots here, eating, 1,600 days of your life is spent eating, 3,200 spent working. TV, so look at that little spot over there. TV, almost 2,700 days of your life. 2,700 divided by 365 days. I don't know.
So it's close to 10. It's about 8 or so.
About 8 years of your life spent watching whatever you watch, stuff, other people's lives and makeup stuff. So that's crazy. Caring for others. This is shocking. Only 564 days.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's something that's been lost. I see it getting more and more lost in the community.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. We used to see, at least, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago before everything that happened in 2020, I would say we saw pretty much every other week, we would see people in the streets for charities, like for nonprofits, looking, searching, and I feel like it's died out. I haven't seen one person in, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And that's not even, that's directly caring for others. But now imagine how many of those, go and serve people places are now closed down because of the whole situation.
Right.
How much of that is gone? It's just not there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So you could definitely spend some time. 564 days, forget it. You can actually do a whole lot more. So if you had the time with investments, passive income, whatever that lifestyle design, cut out the TV watching, cut out, analyze your life, cut out all these this stuff and use it on like what you really love. Is it travel? Is it this? Everyone loves travel. I immediately want to travel. But look how much time you're already given in your life. You have the time to already do it. Why are some people doing it and you're not? Okay. You really got to do that hard confront drill.
Yeah. It's about distribution. This pickle jar theory. I don't know if you've ever seen this exercise, but when I was younger, I'm not sure if I was in high school or if I was already in the university. Really can't remember, but I saw this live where the teacher came in with a huge jar about this big, and very big jar, and he started pouring sand into it, right? Just didn't say anything, didn't say a word. Comes in, does that. We're all looking at him like he's crazy, obviously, right? And then starts putting big rocks into it, big rocks. And there's a bunch of big rocks that are left outside.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he starts putting all the medium rocks, kind of smaller rocks. He puts them in, right? And there's still, fair bit of those also left on the side. And he's said nothing so far.
Yeah.
The jar, you can tell, is not full because you can see through it. It's a glass jar.
Yeah.
And he asks, "Who knows what I just did?" Everyone's dumbfounded, obviously, right? We're young, teenage or whatever. And he comes to tell us, well, this is probably how most of you are spending your life. You grab all the non-important stuff and do that first, right? You go watch TV, you go, do whatever, I don't know, whatever you like to do. And then you start doing the important stuff, your homework, your studying, your whatever in that case applied. And then all the stuff that is not as important, maybe, or not as important for you, right? At that point, you do this, that, the other. So he says, what if we did things in a different way, right? So he pulls out another jar, which is weird because I didn't notice how he came in with two jars. But anyhow, he puts a second jar, right? And grabs the same amount of sand, the same amount of pebbles, and the same amount of everything, right? And he starts putting all the big rocks in. He says, what if you started the day doing everything that's important, the things that you really need to do, spend time with your family, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What if you gave your mother a hug? What if you, made your bed instead of just leaving it all trashed? You start doing all those things first. And now you start doing all the medium important things, start doing your schoolwork, start doing your this, that, the other, and he puts all those over.
Fits in between all the larger rocks.
Yeah. Very interestingly, it wasn't a perfect experiment by any means. Some things got stuck and the whole thing. And then he started putting in the sand. What if after that you go and watch TV and do all the stuff that really doesn't matter?
Around all of it, everything.
It was pretty full. I mean, some things were still left out.
Yeah.
And I think he did this intentionally. Some things were still left out, but the amount of things that were left out was so little compared to this huge pile of stuff. So he said, it doesn't mean that you'll be able to do everything in one day, every day, but you have covered all the important things, and everything that's left out wasn't really that important.
Yeah.
And didn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
So it was really something that was eye-opening, and I know I was probably in my 15, 16 years old. So I still did dumb stuff, don't get me wrong, but it did affect me in many ways. So that's how I ended up doing to MLM business and all kinds of other things. Yeah.
So prioritize.
Yes.
What I get from that, you obviously, I think some people don't have a correct importance on some things. Like you said, they do the wrong thing always, but I immediately want to ask why. Why do they do that? Well, obviously they have a greater value of importance on, playing PlayStation compared to whatever, hugging the kids or doing whatever. Their thinking is skewed a little bit.
Yeah.
So obviously in financial freedom, you've got to really analyze what is important in life, not only just for yourself, but maybe what you think is important is a little skewed. You should maybe start studying, looking at books, and how do millionaires, if you want to be a millionaire, good, study millionaires. You obviously, everyone's heard that, but what about someone that's happy? Your Uncle Joe. If he's your idol, you look at it because he's so happy, this, that, good. What does Uncle Joe do? Looking at that, analyzing what that is. But I guarantee you, people really enjoy whenever you're on death's doorstep. I have been with a couple people at that moment, and it's a huge importance on that time they have. All the rest of the stuff falls by the wayside. There's a few things you hold on to. And one, it's either massive regret, but that time with your loved ones is super, super important. So you have to make sure that's in there.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right, let's dive into the next one here. Stay on time. All right. Feeling good about yourself. What is this about?
You take that one. It's all you.
Because I feel good about myself. That's why.
No, honestly, I think the feeling good about yourself is just like it's there, like a pyramid. There are some things that just are foundation blocks. And I don't know if you've experienced some of this, but in the past, I've had really strong bad feelings, like depression kind of thing.
Yeah.
And really the resolution to it has never been anything fancy. People always were like, go to a psychologist, go to the general things that people tell you, because really, if you haven't been there, you really don't know exactly what people are facing.
Yeah.
And very simply put, the thing that has worked the best for me, and I pass that on to other people, is start with the most basic of things, right? When you're feeling bad, when you're feeling, depressed, like everything is crumbling on you, the simple things can really give you a lot of strength. Stupid things, you might think. For example, taking a bath. You have no idea how good that is for you, taking care of yourself, going and trimming your nails, trimming your hair, just looking good to your own standards, obviously, trimming your beard, doing the whole taking care of yourself, making the bed. All of those little things really give you a lot of good foundation, really.
Yeah.
And doing all those small tasks and doing them ideally first thing in the morning, to be completely honest, is what really has helped build that sense of strength, sense of control, sense of, okay, things are not really that bad.
Yeah.
Right. And then it goes to, because that will directly impact you here.
Yeah.
Right. And then it goes into some exercises, some things that you can do actively, because you're not going to be with a psychologist 24/7, right? He's there an hour, 30 minutes, whatever that is. And then he's no longer there.
Yeah.
You have to be there for the rest of the 3 days before you see this person again. So you have another 72 hours where you're with yourself. And that is the hardest part about being not in a good state emotionally.
Yeah, you have to be in that good state for sure.
Yes.
It's dwindling by inertia, a lot of inertia. I find that people are on the path of doing well, they continue doing well much easier than when you're starting doing bad. It becomes this like downward, right?
Yes. So then it becomes just a matter of identifying that. Once you've faced it, once or twice, it just becomes a matter of how fast can you identify it and start doing all these little things and then build on that, right? So then you'll go into your safety needs. For example, that will be, for everyone that's different, right? But for some people, it is having the money to, go for a walk and not have to worry. For some people, it's having that workplace, somewhere where they go and they have this sense of, okay, I'm being productive, I'm being useful for someone, okay, or for myself, whatever, it doesn't matter what that safety feeling is, but it's feeling of safety is the next foundation block, right? And then you go into belonging to a group. That's also a human need. So it can be whatever, it doesn't matter really what, but it's being part of something, be it social, be it humanitarian, be it whatever that is for you, but belonging in a group and being accepted and understood and being part of a group, of a society, religion, whatever that is for you, also gives you a lot of strength and builds up that, all of those little foundations to then for you to feel good about yourself, right? You have also your self things, whatever Skye enjoys, right? Let's say that is eating, right? That's, for example, that's a good one for me.
What are you saying? What are you saying, man?
No, I was looking at myself actually. I was looking at the 1,600 days of eating, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've done more than that already. But yeah, whatever that is, that's kind of the epitome of it, right? If you have all of these foundations, when you then spend that time to do something that you like, you really enjoy it. Versus if you're which is a pitfall, right? Because like, for example, video games, you can just go and play a video game because you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to de-stress. And really, if you don't have all of these other foundation blocks, what happens is you're there 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. You ain't feeling any better.
Yeah, you're more stressed because you still didn't accomplish. There's no sense of accomplishment that's lasting.
Yeah.
You know, it just goes by the wayside, and as soon as you turn it off, you look at your house, it's still dirty. Kids' diapers not changed or whatever. I mean, just a huge amount of really important things are not
taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all ties into each other, right? But I think the best thing you can do, doesn't matter what stage of your life you're at, is doing those first few things every day, and whatever that exercise is that will get you to really, be in a better place, be in a better situation. And if you don't have it, just start with the basics and then build from there.
Yeah. Again, sense of accomplishment helps your own personal certainty. It helps whenever you have your investments and your ducks in a row. We'll just stick on that train of thought. All your ducks in a row. What are you going to do with all that free time? You got to have some type of discipline. You have to know what it is you like. Who is Skye Logan? What does Skye Logan like? Like, if you all of a sudden gave me all my bills are always handled, money comes in, auto pay, I never worry about that. I wake up with a cup of coffee and stand out in the back, but what am I doing? Right? What is it that I'm going to have a sense of accomplishment? What's humanitarian? I do a lot. My wife and I together have 6 kids. So if I ain't working, I'm with kids. And if I'm not doing that, it's usually some type of some humanitarian thing. As you know, I love philanthropy stuff. So I always, my spare time, if I'm sneaking off in the back corner somewhere, I'm doing something in that area. So I really know what it is that I like. But everyone you have to analyze that for yourself and just prepare for that. What is my life going to look like once I have this freedom on my investments? Okay. Because otherwise it doesn't lead you to any more happiness. You end up being, and I know people, the idle rich, you hear this term, the idle rich, yet I've serviced, I've dealt with millionaires, a couple billionaires near to royalty, and they were not happy, so they didn't have this stuff figured out. So you got to. All right, let's hit this next one here. All right, being empowered to make your own decisions. Okay, everyone loves this. Everyone loves the idea of this. But again, it's just like, you don't have a boss. You don't have, I'm married to a Puerto Rican. So I'm kind of I'm a glutton for punishment.
You have a boss when you don't have a boss.
But everyone kind of likes the idea of like, I don't have a boss or this or that. But once again, you're free of that. You have to have that figured out. But you do have the freedom to make your own decisions too. Again, you need to be prepared for that, because once you have that investments coming in, it can be an awesome thing. But again, you just have to know what that looks like. So research has consistently shown a strong tendency for high stress work to push people out the door earlier. Okay, fair enough. So I've heard it said that if you retire to something, you'll retire happy and fulfilled. If you don't have something to retire to, like a path, an eye on a mountain, like if you don't have that goal, you're kind of just meandering in the jungle. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's a lot more stress and things like that. You tend to be more miserable due to boredom, perpetually focused on pains. Like, again, idle mind is a devil's workshop. That's the correct saying?
Devil's workshop, not sure.
Yeah, idle mind is a devil's workshop.
Idle mind, yes, for sure.
There are no goals. You don't wake up in the morning and there's not a battle plan already figured out. It's nature abhors a vacuum is another datum. It'll fill, problems will start creeping up. And before you know, my mom, interesting story. I hope mom is not on here watching or anything like that. Hi, Mom, if you are. But she worked really hard, didn't retire till 67. RN, nurse, emergency nurse, phlebotomist, blah, 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 that medical industry. Completely fine. A kind of lady that barely ever missed a day at work. As soon as she retired, you can't imagine the amount of things that crept up body-wise. I'm not going to go into all of them, but like it was being held at bay. Some people was all held at bay, and she's working, she's focused, and she's doing something, but life literally started blowing up as soon as she retired. And like she hasn't had anyways, I don't want to get into that too much, but it's crazy. And she's not the only one. I hear this a whole lot. As soon as they retire, they're not working. Next thing you know, you know, blown out knees or this or that, or whatever, break their back doing blah, blah, you know, just next thing you know, they spend the rest of their life, their body's failed and this and that. So,
well, I have two scenarios. Well, my mom married somebody else. I have a stepfather, right? My stepfather is very different than my dad, right? My father, right? The person that I was born from. Well, anyhow, my dad is also very different than my wife's family. They're very different type of people. However, my dad and her grandfather are around the same age, right? In their 80s, roughly. And dad retired about 20 years ago, roughly. It was about 10, 12, so about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And my wife's grandfather also retired about 20 years ago. They're both, health-wise, they're fairly similar. Well, my dad was already not the healthiest person when he was before retirement. But here's massive difference. My dad always wanted to retire and just listen to classical music. That was his thing. Yeah. And he still does that to this day. It's very curious. But anyhow, he does that. He loves it. And he still does his, one thing here or there. But really, really, really what he does is he would sit and watch operas pretty much 50% of the day, sleep, eat, whatever.
Wow.
And he's, quite literally. And he's gotten into another hobby that I don't enjoy too much. He's like, he feels like he's a news reporter in Venezuela, but whatever. It's a different story. But he's very active. Like if you go and when my dad comes over, he will go out with me. We'll go to a restaurant. We'll do whatever, he will try to have me watch operas with him, which I can do for one opera, but the second one kind of tap out. Stuff like that. Versus my wife's grandfather. They're about the same age. They have about the same amount of financial freedom, but he is pretty much sitting somewhere waiting for it to pass. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And when you talk to him, that's literally what he expresses to you. Yeah, I'm here waiting,
Wow.
Like
that's the goal.
And and very interestingly, they had a similar life in terms of, the amount of work, here's something interesting. My wife's grandfather, he was a very service-oriented person.
Yeah.
He lives in Cuba, so he would be well off. He didn't have any worries of his family if they had food or if they didn't. So every time he had access to food, he would get a portion for his family, and the rest he would find people to give to. He wouldn't even charge them for it.
Yeah.
People that were in need. So he would go to like the farms, the places where people had no access to meat, and he would bring that there. Right. That was part of his thing. Yeah. So versus my dad, he was completely different. All he mattered or everything that mattered to him was just being able to retire. So he was very focused on the money, how much he was going to make, and where he was going to invest it, blah, blah. He, to the best of my knowledge, at least in that stage of his life, he never thought of, I'm going to help this other human being. I'm going to, or no.
It was all about
when he was going to retire. That's all
that mattered. Retire, how many operas I'm going to watch a day.
Yeah. And now he does do a little bit more humanitarian stuff, but back then, zero. Yeah. Right. So it's very interesting how this dynamic has shifted completely. And he is, very happy that he's alive. Every time I talk to him, he's like, yay, I got another day. I wasn't expecting this. So cool. Let me try to get some operas in, kind of thing. And so it just comes to show you that having a plan and having something that you're looking forward to, even after retirement, after you've set yourself up, really makes a big difference in what you're going to do in your life and how you're going to feel about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Having a plan. Have a plan, work the plan.
Yes, sir. Bring it home.
Yeah, that's right. All right. I think we've touched on this quite a bit here. What do we have? That is it. So obviously, how hard is your money working for you? Are you working hard, or is your little soldiers, your little dollar bills working for you? So again, you can always reach out to me. For those of you that are not familiar with myself, Equity and Help, first-time listeners, etc., reach out to me. The website there, equityandhelp.com. Go there. You'll find my contact information, calendar requests. You'll find a lot of great information. Our marketing queen. You can go to the news. Our blog there says news. Start looking at any of those articles. There's a lot of great articles and things in there. She does a fabulous job. And set up a discovery call, reach out to me. I love working with people to free up their lives, kind of slap you around, set you straight sometimes. If that's what you need, reach out to me. I can definitely do that. Berger, thanks for coming.
No problem. Happy to be here. Happy to be of service to all the philanthropy investors we have out there, the families, and all the people that we work with day in, day out.
Yeah.
Very happy.
Yeah, no, we're all happy, very happy crew over here. So we definitely love it. Before we chime off here, we have, thank you, Karen. Hello, hello. You're very welcome. Hopefully it was a little casual today. We just want to kind of have a fireside chat about life and goals and various things like that. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you next week's webinar. Stay tuned for that. Other than that, have a fantastic week and weekend. Okay, bye.